The year 1947 marked India's hard-won independence, a triumph over colonial rule. Yet this newfound freedom came with the daunting task of forging a nation from a land of immense diversity. Building a just and secure society was paramount, a goal intrinsically tied to the development of a robust and accountable law enforcement system. India inherited a policing structure deeply rooted in the colonial era, one designed more for control than for the service of its citizens. This legacy cast a long shadow, presenting challenges that continue to shape the nation's quest for security. The journey towards a secure India has been one of constant evolution. The decades following independence saw the nation grappling with issues of poverty, social unrest, and communal tensions. Law enforcement agencies were often stretched thin, lacking the resources and manpower to effectively address these complex challenges. The spectre of corruption further eroded public trust, hindering the police's ability to function as protectors of the people. Despite these hurdles, India has made significant strides in its pursuit of a just and safe society. The Constitution enshrined the principles of equality, justice, and fraternity, laying the groundwork for a more equitable legal framework. The Indian Penal Code, a relic of the colonial era, has undergone amendments to better reflect the values of independent India. The road to a truly secure India remains a work in progress. The nation continues to grapple with issues of crime, violence, and social unrest. However, the spirit of resilience and the pursuit of justice remain strong. As India steps further into the 21st century, its law enforcement agencies face the critical task of adapting to new challenges while upholding the rights and freedoms of all citizens. The Indian police system, in its current form, is a direct descendant of the system put in place by the British Raj. Designed primarily to maintain order and quell dissent against colonial rule, this system prioritized control over community engagement. The emphasis on maintaining order often came at the expense of individual liberties. One of the most enduring legacies of this colonial past is the centralized nature of Indian policing. Power remains concentrated at the top, with limited autonomy given to local police stations. This top-down approach can hinder responsiveness to local concerns and create a disconnect between law enforcement and the communities they are meant to serve. Limited resources have consistently plagued Indian law enforcement. Chronic understaffing and inadequate funding for training, equipment, and infrastructure have hampered the police's ability to effectively combat crime and maintain order. This resource crunch is often most acute in rural areas where the majority of Indians reside. Corruption, a deep-rooted problem within the system, further erodes public trust and undermines the rule of law. Bribery, extortion, and the manipulation of justice for personal gain continue to plague the force, particularly at lower levels. Addressing this issue is crucial for building a more just and equitable society. India, like many nations undergoing rapid social and economic transformation, faces a dynamic landscape of crime. Data from the National Crime Records Bureau reveals both encouraging trends and persistent challenges. While traditional forms of crime like theft and assault remain concerns, new threats have emerged in the 21st century. Cybercrime, fueled by the proliferation of technology and internet access, has witnessed a dramatic surge in recent years. From online financial fraud to data breaches and the spread of misinformation, cybercrime poses a significant threat to India's security and economic well-being. Law enforcement agencies face the daunting task of adapting to this evolving criminal landscape, requiring specialized skills and resources. Domestic violence, a deeply concerning issue, continues to cast a long shadow over Indian society. Data reveals alarming rates of violence against women, both within and outside the home. Addressing this scourge requires a multi-pronged approach encompassing legal reforms, increased support for victims, and a societal shift in attitudes towards gender equality. Organized crime, with its deep roots in illicit activities, poses a persistent challenge. Drug trafficking, extortion rackets, and human trafficking operations undermine the rule of law and exploit vulnerable populations. Combating these networks requires coordinated efforts across state borders, often involving collaboration with international law enforcement agencies. Section 4. Turning Points, Landmark Cases and the Call for Reform. Throughout its history, India has witnessed a number of landmark legal cases that have shaken the nation's conscience and spurred calls for reform within the law enforcement system. These tragedies have exposed systemic flaws, highlighted the need for greater accountability, and ignited public discourse on the role of law enforcement in a democratic society. The Bhopal gas tragedy of 1984, one of the world's worst industrial disasters, brought to light the devastating consequences of corporate negligence and the inadequate response of authorities. The public outcry following the tragedy led to the establishment of environmental courts and strengthened regulations surrounding industrial safety. The 1984 anti-Sikh riots, a dark chapter in India's history, exposed the vulnerability of minority communities and the failure of law enforcement to protect them. The riots, triggered by the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, saw widespread violence against Sikhs, leaving thousands dead and displacing many more. The 2002 Gujarat riots, another instance of communal violence, further underscored the urgent need for police reforms. Triggered by the burning of a train carrying Hindu pilgrims, the riots resulted in widespread violence against Muslims, leaving a deep scar on the nation's social fabric. The 2012 Delhi gang rape case, a horrifying act of sexual violence, shook the nation to its core. The brutal assault and subsequent death of a young woman on a moving bus in the nation's capital sparked nationwide protests demanding justice and greater protection for women. The case led to amendments in criminal law, strengthening punishments for crimes against women and highlighting the issue of gender-based violence. Section 5. Towards a safer future, modernization, transparency and community in policing. As India charts its course towards a more secure future, it is imperative that law enforcement agencies evolve to meet the challenges of a rapidly changing world. This necessitates a multi-pronged approach, one that embraces technological advancements, emphasizes transparency and accountability, and prioritizes community engagement. Modernization of the police force is essential for effectively combating crime in the 21st century. This includes investing in cutting-edge technology such as facial recognition software, predictive policing tools, and advanced forensic capabilities. Equally important is the need to provide officers with the training and skills necessary to utilize these tools effectively while respecting citizens' rights. Transparency and accountability are the cornerstones of a just and equitable society. It is crucial for law enforcement agencies to operate with openness, providing citizens with access to information about their activities and holding officers accountable for any misconduct. Independent oversight bodies tasked with investigating complaints against the police play a vital role in ensuring transparency and maintaining public trust. Community policing, a philosophy that emphasizes collaboration and partnership between law enforcement and the communities they serve, is paramount. Building trust and understanding between police officers and citizens fosters cooperation, facilitates the sharing of information, and creates a safer environment for everyone. Section 6, or conclusion, a safer India built on trust and justice. India's journey towards becoming a truly secure nation is an ongoing process, one that demands constant vigilance, adaptation, and a commitment to justice. While significant challenges remain, the nation has made notable progress in strengthening its law enforcement institutions and addressing the root causes of crime. As India continues on this path, it is essential to prioritize transparency, accountability, and community engagement. By building trust between law enforcement and the people they serve, India can create a safer and more just society for all its citizens.